So basically, what I did was let's go back since we're recording this. What we're going to do is we're going to walk through the live paint again. So initially, what we had was this. And when you see that kind of thing, what's happening is you're getting half of something that's filled. So when you draw something like this, when you fill it in Illustrator, it only fills partially because the shape is not closed. Now, that was always a problem in Illustrator until they created live paint, because they realized it's too time consuming to get everybody to close their lines. So they really created the new tool, live paint, and it is one of my favorite tools of all time. So what I did when I duplicated, and always remember to duplicate because line work takes a lot of time. Always duplicate your whole folder of lines and then work with the copy. And then if something happens, like a line gets missed, you can always go back to that other layer and pick it up and paste it in place. So what I did was I just converted everything to be no fill and stroke only. And that's what I did on this one. So I selected all of them and I said, no fill. Everything's empty. So let's do this again. So this is it's a white here. I want no fill over here. I'm over here. I want no fill and I want strokes. Because I have no fill, because I want live paint to do the fill. And that's the whole purpose of what we're doing. So let's highlight this. Now live fill does like groupings. So let's see what it does. I have it selected and it's grouped.
So always group first and
well,
then.
I have to always be cautious about what I say because these things change on me all the time, every new version.
Oh, okay.
In the past, we used to have to group it, but maybe they fixed that. I don't know, but we're going to soon find out, right? So that's important. So maybe that was the problem that you didn't have, Lisa Marie. It might have not been grouped. But I'm just remembering from the past, it likes grouped things. So let's see what live paint does. So now I come over to live paint and it is highlighted, as you can see. And that's the other thing, is you could group it and deselect it. So I do believe live paint likes it to be selected. So let's bring this over to live paint. Now, live paint will pick up and you see it's not happy, right? Oh no. If you wish to merge the paths to the live paint group, click the merge live paint button. Select merge from live paint menu. Okay, let's do that. Click the merge live paint button on the control panel. I'm going to deselect here for a second. Hold on. And so you see what I mean? Completely changed. Okay, let's go to the control panel.
Yeah, that was happening to me.
Right. So that might be right here, You see? Now you see how that control panel, there is no control panel, right? It's the object, because look, under live paint, merge, right? Now it's okay. That totally changed for me, just to let you know. So these tools that are all here, from live paint to image trace to text wrap, These are all new. So image trace always used the traditional expand, but now they have their own expand. So that kind of blew my mind one day. It was like, why isn't this working? And then it was like, wait a minute, what is this? So you see what happened. Let's go back to that so you can see that, okay? And so in hindsight, let's do this. Let's go back. Let's highlight this. Let's go to the live paint. And we get that like, no way, right? Can't do that. And then it says, click the Merge Live Paint button on the control panel. There is no control panel, right? That's a bad terminology. That's a bad UX. They should say under Object. So let's do that. It's highlighted. Object, Live Paint, Merge. And now you see it works. Now you'll be fine. Now this, interestingly, should not be asking me every time I do that. So let's hold for a second. Let's do this again. Because, and Cassidy, I think you remember this. This was not happening. Now, I don't think I got an update, but Creative Cloud does do that. Let me unselect. And yeah, you see, it doesn't even give me the prompts.
Yeah, that's the same thing that was happening for me.
So let's do the grouping. Now it did say control panel, right? I see no control, and I think they're meaning the control pattern here. But let's do this. Live paint, merge, and then, and the other thing, don't forget in Illustrator, you can double click. You see? You see how I did that? You can, and this is how I learned double click when in doubt, right? If you can't find something, just double click things. But there's always something, you know, double click these icons, and all of a sudden you see you have cursor swatch preview, light red, right, with, and so forth. Tips. This, this was the old prompt we used to get. So you see, we used to get this, select, and this is literally how they told us in the days before. So this is where they buried this. Select a collection of paths, click the live paint, and paint the areas that you did. Now, that's what we were doing. You see, we selected everything and we did that. Then click the live paint bucket to live paint. Note you can find other live paint under the menu object live paint. There, that was smart. Next. Okay. Here, same thing, double click, isolate, draw, paint, and so forth. And so that is where you can now, so now you can come up to your pattern and fill that. And oh, don't show again. You see that? I don't want to see that again.
Oh,
And that was a problem. Now you're all set.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Now, the one thing I do have to say is, you see how flat it looks? Unless you change it up, right? Like if you do a pattern here and a pattern there and a pattern here and a pattern here, you could change this up, right? You know what I'm saying? But let's just say, for instance, let's say the art director wants the whole thing to be this, right? And when we deselect, you see how problematic that is, right? Lisa Marie, it's so flat, right? It doesn't look three-dimensional. This is how you can make things look three-dimensional. Let me undo this.
If I click span or transform, yeah, no, oh,
not well, there's two ways. We could pull this into Photoshop, but it's too time consuming. I'm going to show you a quick way. So one of the ways to do this is, again, the good old duplicate trick. what you do is you duplicate the one I fixed, which should be okay now. Duplicate this. Turn off the one that's going to have the pattern, right? Now, obviously, if you get good with your file naming, which becomes really important as you get more professional, because you work with a lot of files. So I'm going to turn off this pattern, right? I'm going to highlight like we did, but this time I'm going to, I can't see white, so I'm going to choose a light gray. And I'm going to use, now this may not have the gray that I want to see, but it has it. Like and if I ungroup this, hold on. See, there's not, it's, the lines are filled. I don't want that. I don't want the lines. So again, be sure that this has no lines. And come on. Just pick a color. But I don't want a color. Pick a black. I want my lines. There. Okay. So Illustrator is what it's one of those, what I call sticky software. You have to sometimes double click, deselect, double click. So it's just one of those things because it's so accurate. So now what I want to show you is that I want to highlight this. I want to take my live paint and I'll just do it on the sides here. And I'm going to I want just to fill this and that, and maybe that just to show you. Okay. Okay. Fill that. And now I want to ungroup this. Okay. Ungroup it. It takes, and again, you see this is a sticky part. It's not fully ungrouping. Okay, now it is, no. I'm sorry. I am sorry. I want to expand it is what I want to do. So let me back it up. So let's get this. And what I'm going to show you is I'm creating, I'll just do it with one. I'm creating a layer. And so now with this, I'm going to expand this. And now it's going to convert. All right, now that's fully expand. Now I ungroup it. Come on. There. Now I have a separate, you can't get this unless you did live paint because you've got a whole bunch of lines, making a bunch of lines, and they're not shapes. But when you do live, so basically beginners, they always say, where's the fill bucket in Illustrator? Well, there isn't a fill bucket, it's live paint. And so when you use live paint, it creates that shape, which the lines have created, but they're not all connected. So now what I have here is the ability to apply a gradient that has a transparency, that has the shadows, like that. So you see this is transparent. So now the gradient tool is another one of those sticky tools, literally. So let me get that. And there, okay. Now you see, they changed it again, and it really makes me upset because there should be an apparatus here. And I don't know why. The apparatus means it's a tool that helps you to rotate, and I'm not seeing it. And I'm digging deeper into that here. When you double click, and do remember, like, be careful when you're in Illustrator. Watch how I double click. If I double click, I am what we call, this is called the ice up here. This is called the isolation mode. The isolation mode, if you have a million layers, which you tend to have, and you want to just work on one, and you don't want to mess with anything else, you just double click, and it takes you all the way down the hierarchy of your layers so that you can just fix that one blessed thing and then come back out of it and so forth. So now you see I'm going to bring this up and I think you may be seeing where I'm going with this, I'm now going to make a shadow on that the layer that I have here. Let's go back to this. And I guess I didn't do the pattern. Let's do that again, live paint. Let's get your pattern. There. And so now you see here, now this has white on it. It didn't have the transparency. So let's go back to the gradient and make a gradient transparency. So gradients are here. And I believe this should do a live, theoretically, this should give me a live paint of this. So I select this and I make this be 0%. There we go. And then over here, I want this to be 100% black, which it is. And I want to be more of that. And so it's right now, it looks like it's reversed. So I want to keep the black to be black, and I can bring this up so it really is dark. There we go. Now we're talking. But do you notice that it's kind of fuzzy, right? It's like whitish. Do you see that? I don't know if you can see that in Zoom. Do you see how it's kind of whitish? Lisa Marie? Cassidy, can you see it?
Yeah, I can.
Right. So this is how you fix that. It's because technically this color is white. So even though it's 0%, the black is still trying to blend with white. What you want to do is make this color be black as well. And so we want to come here and double click this. And there. So in other words, to get a good transparency for shadows and stuff, it's important to know that you're going to make your two colors be exactly the same color, but the color that's at the end is 0 opacity, and this one's is at 100 opacity. And so then this way, then you get that shading that we were talking about that makes it not look so flat. So that when we come back over here, you see now you get that gradation of the shadow, and you can, you saw how I changed that gradient. And you would lock this. If you lock this, I can get to that gradient. And now I'm at that gradient right now. And theoretically, that tool is not there. They really, I don't know why they took that tool away. Interesting. Look what they have here, folks. They just put the warp puppet tool. Wow, that's got to be with the mesh down here. Fascinating. There's your transform on there. So there's that puppet tool that we use in Photoshop. So let's come out of that. So anyway, so that makes it now. So now when you use your live paint and you fill it, let's highlight this. You want to lock the top, unlock that. And now I'll fill with this, with the live paint. Oops. I want this. And you see that really begins to make a difference on that. And so this way, you see, that way you don't have that flatness that happens in gradations. And that's, that's the ability, and that's why duplication is so important, because I duplicated the layer to fill with a solid color, and then I put that transparency gradient on it. And you could do the same thing with highlights. You could lighten that to be. And so that's how you get your gradient. So I'm way past onto our break time. Let me end this.